And we got our all rest. No. And we hit T1 lightning damage. Ooh, that's also great. Hello everyone. Today I wanted to showcase how I crafted all my own gear on the character that I used to take down the Arbiter in hardcore. Note that this is not solo self-found. As you see here, I have a big tab full of nice crafting mats, and I'll go through each slot that I crafted step by step so you guys can learn how to do it yourselves and show you some of the resources I use when I research how I can craft these things. But it is honestly pretty simple. We go for the maximum evasion on the helmet and the chest, as boots have the prefix of movement speed, or it's at least required pretty much. So we can't really scale that so much. So if we hit life here, it's pretty okay. But we definitely want to max out for evasion on helmet and chest slot. So I will show you here how we are determining what the odds are going to be. So for the chest here, I have percentage increased evasion rating as my prefix. And of course go for tier 1 on the best base if you can. They are not too expensive because evasion bases are not that interesting on hardcore unless you go for the witch hunter build. So they can be pretty cheap and pretty good at the same time. So as you saw, I have percentage increased evasion rating, which is this mod here. It has a roll, it has a chance to roll of 14%. So it's pretty good to start with that one because it's one of the harder ones to roll. And what we're really trying to roll is percentage increased plus to flat, which is also kind of hard to roll. You might want to start with that too if you can get the base. And then we want to try to roll just all flat, just flat evasion rating, and that has a pretty high chance. So those are pretty nice odds for us, but we have to hit 2 mods that we want. So of course it's not going to happen every time, keep that in mind. But if we, for example, hit the percentage evasion to plus max life, that's also fine. If we hit plus max life, we might consider selling the base, but builds that are not witch hunters might actually prefer to have a high max life roll and a high plus evasion roll. So you might actually just make profit on that, and some builds might even prefer spirit. So even if you don't hit exactly what you want, it's not that bad. You can probably turn a profit anyway. And for the helmet, we do have a little more mods that we don't want. Like rarity is not bad. Of course you want some rarity, that's how it is right now. Accuracy, meh, not really that interesting. Mana, very dead stat for us. So, and evasion rating plus mana is not, it's not terrible, but it's not really what we want. So there's a little more mischance there. And then finally, the boots. We have mana. Yeah, just mana is the one we can miss on. And so the way I like to go about it is I like to buy with a deflection rating suffix because it's pretty hard to roll. And then use some essence. You can use whatever you want, but I prefer just some resistances. And then we will try to fill up our suffixes first in order to use our perfect exalts with a greater exaltation to fill out our prefixes without having to spend that much money on greater exalts and to hit hopefully some great mods. And that's pretty much the way that we craft both the helmet, the boots, and the chest piece. So I'll go ahead now and I'll just show you how it goes. So we start with our little essence here. And then we will use Omen of Dextral Necromancy. Oh, I need to put him in my inventory. No. Okay, I'll just do that. So we use our Omen of Dextral Necromancy. And then we hit the helmet with that. So we are now sure this is going to be a suffix. You can see it's taking up a suffix slot. And then we will greater exalt to hit some nice prefixes. And we hit not the best ones, so it's a little sad, but it's all right. And I will unveil all of this stuff in the end here. All right, so we will try again. As I said, there's a chance for failure. We'll do the next one. Remember to activate the omen. And we hit the suffix. And again the omen. And hit something nice. We hit accuracy and another roll that doesn't work. Alright, so that was pretty terrible, but okay, that's how it goes. Then let's try some boots. And here I have a life regen, and you might ask, why did you buy a life regen? And it's because while you're progressing and you are struggling with mana issues, I really like this node as an anoint because it's fairly cheap to anoint and it's very, very efficient. It takes off super a lot of problems with your mana. However, you will start to feel your life draining away if you attack a lot. But I found that even if you just have one life regen mod on your gear, it's gonna fix it entirely. So definitely you can consider rolling your boots like this in case you want to go for that anoint. And so we go again here and guarantee our suffix, and then we see if we can roll some nice prefixes. And this one we got our stun threshold. Yeah, this one's pretty okay. Stun threshold is actually not bad, especially for evasion builds, because your life isn't that high. So when you do get hit, you might get stunned. So stun threshold is fine. And then, yeah, flat evasion and hybrid. So not too terrible. And then we have our other one here, and that's just with lightning resistance. Once you obtain the Headhunter, it can be pretty hard to actually get enough resistances. And also, even if you use Sign Echo, which I really recommend, it's super awesome item, but it obviously doesn't have any resistances. So you might need to go for a little bit more resist on your boots. So we will again go here, slam the baby, hit it with this. And then what do we get? Exactly the same rolls. All right, so not terrible. Definitely not terrible. And now comes the chess piece. This one, hopefully we can roll something like this, what I have. It turned out really, really good with all evasion, and then you can go very high on the base. And that's especially important on the chest, because a lot of the node on the passive tree has 100% increased evasion from chest piece. So it's very huge to have a big amount on that one. So we will go again, and we will hit it. Omen, add the suffix. And then we'll see. And we hit life and hybrid. So not, as you can see, it's a lot less than what I have here. But as I said, some builds might prefer having some life, so it's not terrible. And then we hit here. Again. And we hit. Why did those? Okay, those were pretty low. That's unfortunate. But so those two are not exactly what we wanted, but that's how it goes. You do have to break some eggs sometimes. All right, and then you'll see a ton more stuff on the bottom here, and that's for crafting my amulets and my rings. And the reason why you see so much is because you can use catalysts in conjunction with Omen of Catalyzing Exaltation in order to increase the chances to roll specific types of mods a lot. And so it's a lot more expensive to craft like that, but it also usually nets you a lot better items. If I could do it with the body armor and my boots and my helmets, I would definitely do it, because it's about a 5x increase in the chance to roll those mods. So what we go for here is you can either go with life and plus projectiles, or you can go with percentage evasion and plus to all projectiles. If you can afford it. They are probably going to cost a little bit at the start of a league, but you can always go to +2 if it's too much for you. So we'll do the exact same thing here. We will start by filling out our suffixes to make it easier for us. So we hit this here, we hit this here. And now you need to pay attention when you do this yourself. I'm just using cold res because I'm just teaching you how to do it. But if you wanted to use, for example, lightning res, you need to choose the catalyst that actually corresponds to the resistance you have on the item. Otherwise, you don't get your desired results. So what we're trying to do now is, because we have cold resistance, we can put this cold amulet quality enhancing on to give us a higher chance of rolling cold mods. And you might ask, why do we do that? We already have a cold mod. But that's because all resistance is also considered a cold mod. So we actually just double the chance to roll our all resistance mod on this amulet after having cold resists already on it. So remember to catalyst up. And you don't need exactly 20 always, but you need somewhere around 17 or something to hit it. It's like a little bit variable. And then we want to use our Omen of Dextral Exaltation and Catalyzing Exaltation to both make sure that it's going to be a suffix, so we don't make our hit pool too high, including all the prefixes would make our chances of rolling all res a lot lower. So we definitely want to avoid that. And then we hit it. And we got our all res, so that's terrific. Awesome. And then because this one has rolled maximum life, I was hoping to try to roll some evasion rating on it also. And therefore I will use Carapace Catalysts. So they will give chance for defense modifiers. And as evasion rating is a defense mod, we can have a higher chance of rolling that with this one. We can also, however, roll Energy Shield, and that wouldn't really be good for this build, but this item might still be very valuable to some other builds, so it's definitely not bad. So Omen of Catalyzing, again, here. And now you'll notice that we have filled out our suffixes, so we don't need to care about which one, like we don't need to buy the omens for hitting suffixes or prefixes. It's very nice if you can plan your crafts so that you can fill out one side before in the beginning, and so you don't have to spend so much on the exalting, on crafting further on. All right, so we have the catalysts, we have the omen activated, and then we hit it again. And we hit maximum energy shield, so that's not really what we wanted, but I'm sure someone else can use this. And then we want to hit it with a little collarbone just in the end. You can use the omens that give a guaranteed mod from a specific lich if you want, but I don't use that here. You can just hit it. And then we'll go for the next one. This one already has evasion rating, so if you can buy that, you don't need to take the gamble like what I just did here, and you can just hit it. So you might not get life, but you can also catalyze for that, so I don't care that much about it here. So we will hit with... We'll start by taking our omens here, not to forget. And then we will quality up, and we're doing the same here. Cold to hit higher chance for auras. And then we hit it. So we didn't hit it this time, unfortunately, strength. So this is probably the worst outcome for us because we don't actually need strength for anything. So that's a bit unfortunate. And then we can just hit our prefix, see what we get. We got max energy shield again. And what we can do here is we can put a collarbone. And so now we have 3 prefixes. And then we can use Perfect Essence of Enhancement, which will remove 1 prefix and add another one that gives global defenses. And that's very nice for an invasion build. But you need to be sure to do this as the last step, because if you do it before you filled out all the mods, it might take from the suffixes instead, and then it would probably ruin your item. So try to avoid that. So we'll just hit it here. Pray we don't hit the max, or we don't hit the evasion, and then see what happens. So we hit the evasion. It's unfortunate. That was a 1 in 3, but that's what happens. And we could also try to do it on this one. It would honestly be huge if we could. But yeah, that's up to you if you want to keep throwing him at it. Now that we removed the evasion, we actually do have a chance to roll it on the desecrated mod. So it's not all lost yet. And then finally, we will go to the rings. And here we have the same choice where we can enhance with catalysts. And because this is an attack build, I'm trying to roll as many flat attack mods as possible, as much damage as possible, because it's very, very efficient for scaling your damage. So same thing again here. We just want to fill out our suffixes. So we hit it with cold res. Again, you can choose what you want. And then we use Dextral Necromancy just to add a suffix. And then remember to put your catalysts. And remember to activate this. And then we hit it. And we hit T1 lightning damage. That's very nice. And then we do it again. See if we can be super geekaluggy. Yay! Okay, that's pretty good. So double damage, life, double resist, and unidentified mods. So that's very good ring. And now you could even go for like a lightning or cold catalyst if you wanted to increase both the old elemental and the other resistance. Or you could go for more Reaver catalyst for even more damage if you wanted. So that's up to you. And then we will do it again. So remember to click the omen, otherwise it's cry. And then we catalyze. Hope I have enough here. Yeah, I have enough. Good. And then we hit chaos damage. Alright, so at this point you might say, chaos damage is kind of useless unless we hit maybe physical damage. It doesn't really matter. So you might stop crafting here, or you might see what you roll. But for the sake of the video, I will just keep going to see what we hit. And accuracy rating. So accuracy is also an attack mod, so it's also likely to hit that. So I don't know if anyone can use this. Maybe a poison build can use this, but it's definitely not lost. All right, and then we use Omen of Abyssal Echoes because we're already investing kind of a lot into these things. So I think it's worth it just to, in case you get something terrible. I might take a roll like this. Chaos resistance is very useful on hardcore, so always take that if I see it. And then you also get a little bit more elemental resistance. You can't complain about that. Let's see, next one here. A straight chaos res roll. That's pretty nice too. Could also go for the stats. It's also definitely not bad. What do we have here? See, that's that's one of the examples for why you want to roll with Abyssal Echoes, because that was terrible. A fire res. You could go stun threshold. It wouldn't be bad, but I might just go for fire res to make it a little bit more marketable. And then we have another babe here. Corrupted blood cannot be inflicted. That would be huge. Oh, ooh, that's also great. That's actually a hard choice. I think I'm gonna go for this. This is too good. That is too good. Amazing boots. I might even wear those. Alright, let's see. Next one here. Enemies you mark. That's a pretty good. So the way this damage bucket works is you will increase the damage they take. So it will stack with things like shock and other things, and it will multiply all of your damage. So all of your damage as extra and all of the damage that you scaled will be multiplied by 8% plus shock and whatever you have. So that's a pretty good mod if you don't mind losing some resistances. I think I might take it just for the novelty of it. And then we have this one finally. Mana cost efficiency, very nice also. This build gets kind of mana hungry once you get a lot of levels to your skills, so wouldn't mind having that on at all. So let's just take that when we roll something good. And then for the rings, let's see what we discover here. Life on kill, not terrible. Mana regen, also helpful if you're struggling with mana. I might reroll it. I might regret it later because could be worse, but let's see. Rarities are nice, and mana per enemy kill. This one actually feels very good when mapping. It's not the best, of course. It doesn't do that much on bosses, so you don't really feel it. You would probably rather have leech because it applies everywhere. So we'll just go with rarity for now. And then we take the next one. Cooldown recovery, we don't really need that. We could go with the resistances for a tri-res, all-res ring. Wouldn't not be bad at all. I think I will just do that. Yeah, we will take it when we can get it. And let's see what we roll here. Spell damage. Yeah, spell damage is not bad, not at all, because it's a projectile skills, so it's not necessarily bounded to being attack skills. And then it has a maximum energy shield and life, so it definitely caters more towards that side of the tree. So we might as well try to make something that's interesting for the people we might try to sell it to. And then we have this one, which also ended up with maximum energy shield and global defense, so we might actually just try to roll some spell mods here or some other mods that are great for those guys on that side of the tree. So we rolled an innovation rating mod, but this is really low. It's like tier 5 or something, so I don't want to take it. And we rolled spell damage while in full energy shield, kind of low I think, so that's meh, that's what it is. We could also go with increased armor. I think there is kind of a lot of Arashta's disciples of Arashta on hardcore, so this might not actually be that bad. So I think we will take that. Alright, that concludes my video. I will not be making a bow crafting because there's so many videos for that already. So I hope you enjoyed and learned something, and then let me know what I can do better in the comments. Thank you. Bye!